Hello, everyone. I have what I think is an exciting episode for you today. I love talking about cash based revenue and diversifying your revenue streams away from the control of the PBMs. And my guest today is definitely one that I hope that you get excited over too. He actually was a recent speaker at my Pharmacy Profit Live Summit that we held in July during the summer of 2021. And he certainly got a lot of attention of pharmacists there. And I love just talking about everything that they offer to help pharmacy owners really diversify their revenue. So I have pharmacist Greg McKettrick with me, who is from Stanley Pharmacy and Stanley Pharma Group, and they focus on men's wellness and men's health. You often hear me talk about that the riches are in the niches, and that's absolutely true because they are seen as one of the forefront leaders in men's health and wellness. And they have an entire ED protocol to help men of all various ages and backgrounds to get the help and really the cure, I will say, if you need for helping them get back to normal health. And they help other pharmacies do that, which is why we're here talking about this. So Greg, I know a lot of people are familiar with you. You talk everywhere. You talked at my summit. You've talked in a lot of other places. But give us a really quick background on you as a pharmacist, and then, of course, Stanley.
Sure. Thank you, Lisa. So just the background part, I've been a pharmacist for over 30 years. I work with Stanley Specialty Pharmacy, which is a compounding pharmacy. We do sterile and bulk compounding. My kind of area of focus has been men's health. And this is going back the last 6 or so years. And over that time, we just started to really develop more and more in terms of training and new materials and devices that we brought in to help our patients. And as we did that, one of the things that we found was the more counseling and the more referrals we were getting from urology clinics, the busier our consultation piece got. So we started to really get more into technology. We started making some really nice training videos that took a big weight off of us on just the patient education portion, something where they could either come in for their consultation and watch it, or we could send those links to them so they could see it in the privacy of their home. And I guess the next evolution of that step was really, I kept having a lot of very similar patient populations show up. And a lot of these guys were post prostatectomy due to prostate cancer. And some of them would show up and it would be 6 months after surgery. Some of them would come a decade after surgery and show up for a consultation. And, you'd sit there with a grown man sitting across from you and literally tears coming down their face because they're still dealing with the ramifications of this very traumatic surgery: incontinence, ED, climacturia, and then the residual parts of that, marriages suffering, self-esteem suffering. And, I thought there's a better way of going about this. So at that point, I developed a treatment protocol that we started using specifically with prostate cancer patients. And as that grew, it started to catch on some attention with pharmacies and urologists in other areas of the country. So we got to a point where we decided we're gonna set up a separate entity, which was the Stanley Pharma Group. And the Stanley Pharma Group is specifically for licensing of these training videos, branding them to our neighbor pharmacies, our partners, and then working and training these individuals so that they could manage the steps of this protocol and bring it into their own facilities that start wholesaling or selling things like the vacuum pumps and supplements, boosting their revenue lines by increasing their footprint, especially in the urology market. And, my I guess common story that I tell most of these guys and girls, when we started this, urology was probably 20% of our business. At this point right now, it's about 53% of our business. And that's the one segment that really continues to grow for us. So obviously we've put in our money where we're getting the biggest return. So what we do with other pharmacies, as I mentioned, we will license the videos. We have a company that can do all of the print and electronic to convert it over so that it'll live on their websites with their logos, their name, their contact information. In addition to that, we will train pharmacists on how to approach their doctors. We'll actually take them in for doctor visits in their area, so that they can understand this is how you promote the protocol. This is how you really explain the benefits that are both for the patient and for these offices. So it can be very simple, where some places, some pharmacies just want to license our print materials. Some want to use a couple of videos. Some want a white gloves approach where literally I will manage their patients for them. I'll do all of the consultations. I'll kind of be a shadow from their pharmacy and represent them with the urologists and the patients. They'll still get the revenue from the sales on the supplements and the pumps and their pieces of this. And eventually the goal would be that they would learn the consultative piece. You've heard me say this too many times probably, but my whole concept is don't just be a fulfillment pharmacy. I talk to pharmacists all the time, and it's very common to say, hey, I'm basically just filling a prescription, whether it be for a penile injection or a PDE5. You ask them, are they selling devices like vacuum pumps? Are they selling supplements? And like, I never even heard of it. So I don't want to have anybody look at their pharmacy and say, well, we're a fulfillment center. We're just here to fill an order. No, be a consultative center. Get paid to do consultations with patients. Get paid to be a referral site from your doctor's offices. Be a partner in these practices so that you establish yourself as the expert. You have the materials, you have the knowledge. And this is what we went to school for. This is why we spent all those years and are paying off debt and all the rest of it. But this is the really enjoyable piece that you can take back. You're not fighting insurance companies for a reimbursement. These are cash-based functions. And like I said, the benefits in terms of return on investment are incredible. The benefits just from professional satisfaction, really helping people getting into these intimate relationships and seeing a change. I get emails from my patients all the time. I got one last week, and the guy had my name, but in the middle it was Marriage Saver. And I've saved that because I thought, man, that's just incredible. So, these are things that any pharmacy can really do, whether they're a compounding pharmacy or a traditional community pharmacy. Pieces of this can be incorporated. We have the ability to help in terms of if there are services that a pharmacy can't offer, like sterile compounding, or they're not comfortable with the consultative piece. Those are things that we can help with. We have the ability to fulfill those types of orders and to fill that role. So it's really a neat process. And again, it's a great source of revenue when you start bringing in the different devices and the supplements and paid consultations, and you're going to increase the footprint of your business and increase your standing in the professional community as well. So I'd say that's about as succinct as I can put it.
No, that was a fantastic overview. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's two reasons why I fell in love with what you guys are doing for pharmacies. One is that professional satisfaction. As somebody who have managed thousands of hormone patients, I definitely understand how, when you intersect and you interject and change someone's life, that is just very rewarding. And then the second thing is profit. I mean, we're talking about cash-based revenue. You get to create something that your community and your patients want, and they open their wallets and willingly pay for it. You're not involving the PBM. A lot of this stuff that you can sell, it's over the counter as you go. I love the gambit of your kind of entire protocol. At the one end, it's like exercises, nutrition, and very basic stuff. And as you go up the ladder, it gets, then there's OTC, and then there's medical, and then there's things that require referral, then there's things that require compounding and prescriptions. And, you go all the way up to where maybe they might need surgery, and then you got to refer back to the surgeon. And so there really is this, I don't know how many steps, but many, many, many steps. And so when I've talked to pharmacies a little bit about male health, they worry that, oh, I'm not a compounder. Oh, I can't do sterile compounding. You don't have to be able to treat the patient A to Z to be able to help them. You, Greg, are not doing penile surgeries, but you still help hundreds, if not thousands of, patients. And you refer back to those people where that point in the protocol it's needed. But in the meantime, there's great supplements out there. There's a lot of great information that you can be having on your community. And this is still a need. I think sometimes pharmacy thinks that, the PDE 5s and all of that is kind of being owned now by the online pharmacies and being owned by all of this. And you're right. I think a lot of people in the community are using them. That's where you have to be different. None of those are going to work if your nitric oxide levels aren't normalized, and nothing's going to work if you're not taking maybe some other things and controlling some other conditions. And so that's where I think there's a real opportunity for independent pharmacies to come in and be that hero and be that champion for those patients. What has been your experience working with urologists? Because I think sometimes people think that working with a specialist or a doctor, they're not going to like a pharmacist coming in and quote unquote taking over their territory.
Yeah. So from the very beginning of this, and I'll tell you, there was that call it the show and tell moment, I guess, when I first introduced the protocol at a meeting. I do a lot of in-services for urology offices. And I was in one of my standard meetings where we go over different compounds that we do and, how can we help the office and what do you need from us? And at the end of the meeting, I kind of not embarrassed to do it, but it was just one of those things I kind of tentatively pulled out the protocol. I said, I'd like to show you something that I've developed. And I was meeting there were 3 urologists in the office and a PA, and one of the urologists happened to be the one that does all of the prostatectomies in their group. He took it and started reading through the protocol and immediately said, yep, said this we need. So that was extremely satisfying for me. The alarming part was that has been the response from every urologist. So, we've done a lot of work. And one of the things that I try to convey is we're not taking their patients. This is a cooperative practice where I'm doing the consultations. I'm sending them back the notes, the SOAP notes based on each consultation with the patient. I'm sending them recommendations for therapeutic interventions. I'm sending them recommendations for surgical interventions based on the patient's progress. So when you talk with a specialist like a urologist about this, the bottom line answer is they don't have time for all of these pieces. They would love to. They want to be able to offer it, but they just can't devote that energy. So when you walk in and say, hey, I'm going to handle these phone calls for you, I'm going to do your patient dose titrations, I'm going to be sending you notes so you know exactly what's going on, you're going to get the recommendations. In the end, you have the final say on the prescribing. I'll give you the recommendations and suggestions based on what I know and what I've seen work with patients. So I think what could be perceived as somewhat of a challenge in terms of, are you going to take away my practice? It actually enhances the practice, saves the offices money because time is money. And if we're taking phone calls and, extraneous visits that just are kind of follow-ups off of them and increasing their patient retention and increasing the patient outcomes, benefiting that, and offering them, these options in terms of the surgical interventions down the road for some of these guys, it's a win-win-win. It's a win for us. It's a win for the patient. Absolutely. And it's a win for these offices. I have not had a single, and just so you understand, again, I work with a number of pharmacies. A number of these pharmacies have their own sales crews that go out into the urology clinics. And I get the call all the time that there has not been a office that doesn't look at it and say, this is great. We absolutely love this. So yeah, you're right. It could be perceived as a bit of a challenge in some cases, but if it's presented correctly and you manage it correctly, you are helping their practice. You're benefiting them. It's a add-on for what they do. So it's been, like I said, it's been a great experience.
Yeah, I think the last piece before I let you go is a lot of pharmacists think, because when they talk to you, you are obviously an expert in this area. This has been an area that you have been passionate about and digging into for a long time. And they start to feel like, I'm not expert enough. Like, I don't know enough to be able to go and do this. And I think that's a lot of pharmacy head trash, is like, we feel like we have to be the experts before we can help somebody. Even though that we're knowledgeable and we can learn this stuff, like you feel like you have to wait until you've reached that master level, which is not the case at all. You can help patients with your understanding already, but that is the beauty of your program, is they can tutelage under you. They can basically shadow you. They can use your materials, use your education, and get quicker to that mastery line and really gain their confidence in a very, very short amount of time. And so that's really what I loved about the program. So if somebody's listening to this and they're like, yes, I want more cash-based revenue, I think I could really help the men in my community, how can they reach out to you to learn a little bit more about exactly how you work with pharmacies?
Sure. So, I mean, first off, they can contact us through Stanley Specialty Pharmacy here in Charlotte, phone number 704-370-6612. I'm at extension 123 if they want to speak directly to me. My email is greg@stanleyrx.com, and that's STANLEYRX.com. Certainly visit the website, because I think that one of the most impressive things that you can do is actually go through and look at all these different training videos that are available. They're available in English, they're available in Spanish. They can be branded to your pharmacy. So that's at StanleyRx.com. And I'm here to help anybody that is interested in this. Again, my goal when I develop this, I don't want to be out there trying to manage every patient. I want to have these services available to every patient, because there is a huge gap in care. This is not a local thing just for me. This is worldwide. And that's something that I have learned. I am actually contacted, because I do a lot of work with support groups online. I'm contacted by patients in Australia and in the UK and in Canada. And it just really goes to show this isn't limited. This is not anything that's just in a geographic area. This is literally nationwide for us. So wherever the pharmacy is, there is an application for this. This is something that will work. We've proven it. We've done it with enough pharmacies to show that this is something that gets on wheels and goes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. I will post all of your information below, so anybody watching or listening to this later will have easy access. I can't wait to spend some more time with you. I think we're probably diving some more stuff together. And I recently visited your facility, and it's a beautiful facility. I had compounding pharmacy jealousy. So whenever I get back to Charlotte, I will surely come by and visit you guys again. So thank you so much for your time. And thank you for all you're doing to help independent pharmacies out there to diversify their revenue streams and keep them surviving and thriving and really flourishing. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.